Is Isaiah Sategna and Kip Lewis going to be back in Oklahoma Sooner uniforms? And what about Cam Coleman, Caleb Hawkins, and Hollywood Smothers? Is there a chance they end up in Norman? Oh, and then there's one more thing we got to talk about. Lincoln Riley doing Lincoln Riley things. It's Rise and Shine college football time. Let's get it. Good morning, and welcome back to Rise and Shine College Football. I'm your host, Jason Watkins. I'm here with my co-host for today's show, Mr. Chris Mason from Sooners 360. If you love college football, you know you're in the right place. So before we forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring the bell so you don't miss one moment of Hall of Fame college football. Welcome to the show, Mr. Mason. How are we doing this morning?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me. I'm a little tired staying up late Eastern time watching a brilliant end to a football game. But other than that, there's lots of stuff to. Other than that, there's lots of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I don't think you had. I think we have to start there. A brilliant football game that was brilliantly blown by that brilliant Lincoln Riley. I mean, come on. Listen, I don't think you could have scripted it any better. You got no Hoover. They're missing a bunch of guys from TCU. The guy that played hasn't taken a snap all year for TCU, and yeah, his quarterback Maiava, all those guys are there, and they can't get it done. What is going to happen with Lincoln Riley, Mr. Mason?
Well, it was just so scripted, so beautifully. OU fans have seen this. You're up by 10 in the fourth quarter. We haven't really put away a down opponent. TCU drives the length of the field for a touchdown, so it's a 3-point lead. But still, you're up by 3, and your vaunted offense is on the field. All you have to do is run a 5-minute offense and seal the game up. But instead, you basically go 3 and out on offense at the worst time possible. Something OU fans are just way too familiar with. Mm-hmm. And then you give up another long drive for the tying field goal. You go to overtime. You get into the red zone. Looks like it'd punch a touchdown in, and you find some way to screw that up and have to kick a field goal instead.
Sure.
And then you go on defense, and there was a weird overturn of a great pass by TCU. So you got the refs helping you.
What's a catch anyway?
That was a little bizarre to me, but I guess by some hyper technical definition of some hyper rule, it was a good call. And then they got a flag, and then TCU sitting there at 3rd and 20, and you're like, well, maybe they can kick a field goal.
Let's frame this for just a second. Hold on a minute. Might we frame this for just a second? You got to think about this. This is the most Lincoln Riley thing to happen to Lincoln Riley since the last time that they played in Texas in a bowl game, which was, of course, in the Cotton Bowl a couple of years back. 3rd and 20, as you said, they got a bad penalty. They got a stupid call. It looked like a catch to me.
Yeah.
Of course, what is a catch? But they're 3rd and 20. And I think I saw 15 broken tackles on his way to the end zone to win the game. What? Well, how can it be more Lincoln Riley?
Let's set it up. TCU just threw like a screen pass to a running back that was maybe 3 or 4 yards past the line of scrimmage. I mean, they were playing. And they were playing.
It was a check down.
It was a check down. They were playing to kick the field goal to go to the next overtime. And then 2 guys just whiff completely. Another guy sort of tries to make a tackle, and then one guy actually tries to make the tackle, and he kind of the TCU running back just ran through it, and then the rest of the USC defenders are so out of position. They are so out of position that he runs the last 20 yards untouched into the end zone to win the football game. I mean, it's literally it's the most it's the biggest snatching defeat from the jaws of victory defensive play I've seen in a while. Maybe like the Tua Tua touchdown against Georgia in that national championship game in overtime.
Sure.
When Alabama was like, well, I don't know, it was like 3rd and 17 or something like that, and all of a sudden they threw a touchdown pass. It's like, okay, but it was just.
Look at this. And Penn State, finally you come in with something that I can destroy. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. The Big Ten is still 6-1 in bowls. Let's talk about that there, Penn State portal guy or sports talk guy. Let's talk about that. You know what? Those 5 of those wins, let's talk about those wins. One of them was against the Penn State one that you guys had. You already know. They beat the worst Clemson team since Dabo got there. Good for them. Way to go. Then you had Northwestern.
A performance so bad, they fired several individuals involved with it the next day.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, Clemson shit-canned 2 guys from offense within 12 hours of that game.
Including Lincoln Riley's brother.
It's a tough day in
Lincoln Riley's brother.
It's a tough day in the Riley household for New Year's Eve, man. But
Right. Then let's talk about some of these other ones. I mean, you had a win from Northwestern. Now, this is a win for the ages. They beat that just killer team from the Mid-American Conference, Michigan, or Central Michigan. They were a big win.
The Chippewas, right?
The Chippewas, yes. That's the Chippewas.
That's a deadly man. That's a deadly mascot right there.
That's pretty awesome that you know that mascot. I love it. All right. And also, then you had Mountain West juggernaut Boise State. You had, and that was a win by Washington, pretty going away style. Then you had the amazing and wonderful Minnesota Golden Gophers, which is another really cool mascot, by the way. That they had a overtime win over that freaking powerhouse New Mexico. Oh, yeah. And then you get the Oregon win over the Sun Belt champions, those amazing James Madison. I mean, listen, that's 5 wins for you. I mean, wow. I got to tell you, that's pretty awesome. Now, Illinois did beat Tennessee. Good for them.
Which I think is highlights more both the Tennessee loss and the Mizzou loss. I think highlight some fractures in those programs.
Oh, yeah. He says, we beat Clemson. That's an elite program. They look elite now. Yeah, they look so elite. They're really elite.
If you beat Clemson in 2019, then come get back to me. But yeah. Can I get this on this show too?
And call your team trash. Because that's what they are, trash.
Fearless prediction, 2026. Dabo Swinney fired midseason because Clemson. I don't know how they're going to be better next year when he won't hit the portal and they're losing players.
Yeah, hey, listen, he's going to ride that sucker all the way down to the shit. And it's got, other than last year, it was on a steady decline. Then they lucked into the damn playoff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they went 7-5 again, which was worse. I mean, they've continued to be in a decline since Brent left. Brent and Tony left. What are you going to do? What can you do?
I just think I'm calling it, man. I think he's either going to be asked to, they're going to make some demand of him, and he's going to say no. He's going to do the Mike Gundy thing, right? Instead of doing what they ask, he's going to dig his heels in, and then an AD is going to be like, you know what? I could fire a legend, no problem.
Yeah. The Big Ten exhibition game champions of the world. No doubt about it.
I mean, he's saying, Michigan over Texas. Guys, we're OU fans. If Michigan could win 49-0, no one will be happier. No one will be more happy than us. So
we'll give you love on that one if you win that one.
Go.
We'll give you love on that one.
Go feisty rodents.
Hey, what happens? I think I may have said this to you. I did say this to Coach last night. What do you think? What if Ohio State loses to Miami and Indiana gets beat by Alabama, which I'm predicting? I'll just go ahead and let that one out. What if Miami is to find a way? Because listen, the last time we saw Ohio State, they didn't put a lot of offense up there, and this is probably a better defense, especially in the trenches. I think Miami has got the best. They've got the advantage on both lines of scrimmage in that game.
Yes, they have, at least from an NFL draft pick perspective, talent-wise. If you were an NFL guy, you would be picking
absolutely
Miami's D-line with Mesidor and Bain, and you'd be picking the Miami offensive line with Mauanga. Is that how you say his name? Manawanga and a couple of their other guys. So yeah, I mean the big
all
Lion.
This talk. The reason I'm saying is all this talk about how great the freaking Big Ten is, and they own college football right now. They've won the two last national championships. Blah blah blah. We know they don't play anybody in the regular season. Indiana's played Oregon at the first part of the year, and then they played and beat Ohio State in the conference championship game. In between there was a bunch of little bullshit games. They almost lost to Michigan State. They almost lost to freaking Penn State, who beat those, again. And we're supposed to believe that Indiana's all that good. Listen, if we're going at roster talent, Alabama has them in spades.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting. We can get to that because that's part of what we're going to talk into.
Sure.
But I think you're right.
I'll just say, can you imagine what that will do to that narrative in one weekend?
It implodes. So it's interesting because you're right. If they lose those two games, then it throws off everybody's brackets really, and then all of a sudden it's more of a. Then we could be screaming towards an SEC rematch in the title game. I mean, if you take out Ohio State, Miami pulls off. For those that don't know, that crystal ball. I mean, come on, let's see what he does in another game. So,
well, sure.
But if that happens, yeah, it's you could be looking at a Bama UGA, game 3.
I think it's going to be a Bama. I mean, I think that could possibly happen anyway. If Bama wins, they're knocking out India, and I think they could beat Oregon as well. Because Oregon, I'm not going to give away my entire thing, but they could beat Oregon as well. Georgia, why? I'm thinking that Miami could beat them. I doubt they do, but they could.
Well, the only problem,
but I believe that Georgia's playing better football than anybody in the country right now, Mr. Mason.
Well, they were. So yeah, that's completely accurate. To give away a spoiler there, if we were to see that match, Carson Beck playing UGA would be a fascinating storyline. I think he might throw. I think he could throw 6 picks because he's confused. He used to, because he's confused. He thinks Georgia jerseys are his home team, so that would be a problem in that game. As long as Georgia gets to wear red, I would say they win that game. But if they have to wear white or some off, something else, maybe that Carson Beck would realize they're not his teammates.
Yeah. And there's been a lot of trash talking coming out of the Ohio State. You already heard Ruben Bain talking about, hey, I don't get down with all this disrespect and shit, and it will be accounted for on the field. So look at what he did to. He made an example of that poor bastard from Texas A&M last week.
Well, and that's A&M. That's a veteran A&M offensive line. Most folks would have told you that's a top 5 line in college football when they played 10 days ago, whatever it's 12 days ago. So it's we can get to those picks. It's interesting, but do you want to jump to a little Sooner portal stuff?
Yeah, we should. And I want to get anybody who's got any questions about the portal stuff. We're going to get into that. I guess my first question would be, what are we hearing on Cam Coleman? I think that's the most. Everybody wants to know. What are we hearing there?
Well, according to various sources out there, and so you've got kind of the one I give the most validity to is Colin Kennedy from 247. Sooners Illustrated. He's a veteran. He's a legit reporter.
Yeah.
When he posts stuff, he has sourced and double checked it. He's not first. He's not always breaking stuff, but when he says stuff, you're like, okay, there's something there. And he says OU's involved and OU is prepared to make a big offer. Jason will tell you that we do a Sooner Intel thing every Thursday, or at least we try to. Holidays are taking a little bit of a break. And he'll tell you that I've been saying for weeks behind the scenes that if Coleman hit the portal, that OU has money to make a big time offer. I'm not just saying that now because it's happening. I've been saying that for weeks, right, Jason? That OU,
Yeah.
that after the Bama game,
Actually,
OU,
months. I remember you talking about this before the season started, that there would not get beat on money. You know, that Texas is going to have to spend all that money they were talking about having to really kill it in recruiting and in the portal once all's said and done.
and I said that if they won, more money would be coming, and OU would be a player. So OU is Jim Nagy. So I see a lot of fans like, well, OU hasn't done this in the portal before, and this isn't how we expect the portal to run. Guys, ignore that. This is the Jim Nagy portal era. He wasn't there last January. He was there in the spring, and this is a portal season he's been preparing for 6 months. If you've seen interviews with him, he has over 2,000 dossiers from all levels of college football. So if you're a Sooner fan and you're wondering, who is that guy? What college does he go to? This is what Jim Nagy did for 10 years at the Senior Bowl. Found elite talent at the lower levels of college football, got them to the Senior Bowl, and got them drafted. So he has a process for finding these guys. So he's just mirroring this to the portal. So I think Jim Nagy. So the way it's been explained to me is Nagy has a budget to fill the gaps on the OU roster. Okay, yeah. Tight end, linebacker if they need be, and we can talk about that a little bit more. Wide receiver, D-line, running back, whatever you view as the depth and weaknesses on this team. He's got the money to go get the guys he wants. And he's going to scout guys and get some value plays. You can call it money ball or disrespect, however you want, but this is what Nagy does. He finds guys who are low value but high potential. We did it in recruiting when we got guys like Matthew Nelson and Daniel Norman, the Jandro twins, players like that who could end up, who Nagy thinks are going to end up being big time Sooners. But so that's this one budget. And then big time donors have told Nagy, if someone elite comes out that you think is a difference maker, let us know if you can make it, if what it's going to take to get an offer, and we'll get the money for you. So, yeah. So if you're worried that Cam Coleman means we're not going to upgrade the tight end position, ignore that. That's not going to happen. So Coleman is the guy that has been identified by donors and other folks, and Nagy is obviously, you're not hearing anything because that's not the way. We're not going to get a lot of information from Nagy. It's not going to leaked. He's going to strike in the portal quickly, and all of a sudden be like, oh, well, who's that guy? He's already signed with OU. That's because Nagy's not playing games. So Coleman I
think it's kind of telling that what you didn't hear anything about Coleman, and everything that had been being said, even around Oklahoma, was that he's not getting in the portal. That I don't think many people thought he was. He's been an Auburn kid from the start. He didn't even choose Bama over him. You know what I mean? He's an Auburn kid. So I think a lot of people believed that he was going to stay there. It kind of, I was saying this to you the other night off the in the off-air area. I mean, it almost feels like, I don't want to say the kid's name, but the running back that they went and got in the spring portal, that he wasn't really in the portal. They announced he was in the portal. Next thing you know, they were announcing he was coming to Oklahoma. Now, obviously, that's not the case here. But it's a quick turnaround still, and everybody's talking A&M in Texas. It almost feels like you could see that if they're willing to go the distance. I know it's a lot of money, but here's the thing: if they're saying they're all, and you said this the other night, they're all in for running at a championship this year. They're going to go get the guys they need, whatever holes they need to fill. and they feel like they're ready to go compete for a championship in the next year or two. I mean, is it worth it to go dump $2.5 million on a receiver, which is the number that we've heard from other places? I don't know that that's necessarily the number, but would you say that's worth it?
If you're and remember, Nagy's scouting team is a veteran group, right? Lake Dawson and Nagy could easily be GMs or assistant GMs in the NFL. I mean, we have that kind of scouting talent in our front office. So let's just say Cam Coleman is that difference maker receiver. Okay, let's just put that aside. We're not going to argue that point, right? Okay.
No, he's a number one receiver at the next level.
Okay, yeah, he's a top 10 NFL pick. Let's just agree that we're not going to argue that piece.
Yeah.
When you're Jim Nagy and you're looking at OU's offense and you're thinking about the offense next year, okay, and you believe you're going to retain Isaiah Sategna, as a spoiler, a little bit of a spoiler there. You believe that's going to happen. And you believe that you're going to upgrade the tight end position. And we'll talk a little bit about that coming up as well, because that looks like it's happening too.
Right.
And you've got a good running back core, and maybe you're going to try add another running back piece, a depth piece, and maybe another guy to give you as much depth and talent in the running back room as you need.
Competition. Yeah.
Competition. If you add an elite receiver to that mix, and you've got good number 3 wide receivers, both freshmen you've signed, redshirted, and Jermichael Carter and Giovanni Gibson, at the end of the year, we're trending up. I mean, again, that's just you just watch OU play, and that's a comment that we can argue about what their ceiling might be, but they were playing better as the year was going on, right? And Mateer is what Mateer is, but we can agree that a better running game and an elite wide receiver forcing double coverage, maybe forcing teams into 2 high safeties, helps your running game, helps your other wide receivers, and all of that consistency and knowing that, man, we got it. We cannot pull another guy off Cam Coleman. That helps Mateer in his reads, and what's going on, right? He knows where he is, and he knows if they're not double covering him, that Coleman's pretty much open anyway. If there's going to be, you can leave him in single
If there's
height.
somebody on him, he's open. Yes,
he's on. So throw it up. So I think all of those things, if you're Jim Nagy, be like, based upon my evaluation of what we got, what we're returning, and what I've added, if I could add Coleman, there's a case to be made for 2026 and going all in and adding him, and because I think when you have that piece, it makes every other piece of the OU offense better. And I think we'll all agree that the last 2 games, Mateer had an uneven season. I think that's a friendly way of saying that. That's a middle of the road kind of way of saying that. But we can say that he was throwing the ball better against LSU and Bama. He made some good throws. He missed throws. He missed reads. He threw a bad pick. But I think we all know, if we could be 10, 15% better on offense with all the new additions that we're adding, which I think is a reasonable kind of projection. But you add Cam Coleman and you add another 10% of juice to that, then you're talking about an offense that complements what should be another stacked defense and could put you in the playoffs. And in the playoffs, you could have that difference maker that could allow Sategna to have one of those big plays you've been seeing, or he'll make 2 or 3 big plays on his own and force teams like Bama and UGA to have to do some predictable things because they can't rely upon their guy winning that one-on-one battle.
Well, I think these are fair comments to be said, even though this Benji, the Texas guy, is going to say what he says. But you go back to what I will say to this one, house money, and I just put it in the chat. Don't say the last however many years. You're talking about 5 straight seasons. Stop it. They were they were top 5 in scoring defense or scoring offense and total offense. Levy's last year there. The year before that, they had a running back that went for 1,300 yards. Let's just say what it is. It's been the last 2 years. Be honest about it. It's been the last 2 years. I get it. And the last 2 years, they've had pretty piss poor game plans. I think we can get into all that. You guys know how I feel about John Mateer. I don't feel like we have to get into all that shit today.
No.
But what I'm going to tell you is you go get weapons that make it easier. That you go and you find, Daylan Smothers is in the portal. There's been talk about his possibility that he might be interested in coming back to Oklahoma. You've got there. I hear about this Colorado running back. He looks really good. He's as a depth piece for sure. You've got Jonathan Hatton coming in, who I loved I'm going to say this one more time. I loved when you said, if your dog's going to bite, he bites as a puppy. I would agree with that when it comes to running backs, especially. And then you've got Torrey Blaylock, who, look, playing hurt all year with a bum shoulder was very good. They just didn't get enough damn carries. And X-Rob was very good when he was healthy. He, big games that he put out there as well. So don't tell me that you can't get better by going and getting wide receivers because we want to run the football. And I want to run the football. I'm with you. The next thing I would say is you would need to, if I'm going to say don't go get Cam Coleman, it's because there's a couple of linemen out there that can fit the bill as not maybe just as depth pieces, but difference makers on the O-line. And because we're going to do some different things in our offensive line play and our run scheme. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know this. We need to put points on the board. However the fuck you do it, go do it.
Yeah, I mean and I think if you're looking at 2026 as an all-in window, let's just say they add the tight ends that I think they could add, right, and seriously upgrade that position, okay, and then that helps the running game in a major way, right, with a big blocking tight end who we'll get to when we talk about some portal stuff, right, and you actually have that guy who can do that. And as you said, you upgrade the running back room in both depth and talent, right? Running games make all quarterbacks look better. Like, even bad quarterbacks look marginally possible when they have a good running game. It's just a fact. You see it in the NFL. You see it everywhere on every level of college football. But I do think that Coleman is one of those guys where he forces teams to change their game plan and gives you a potential edge in some areas that allow the Mateer or the quarterback part to be easier and more effective, and the running game to be more effective. If they got to play two high safeties, that's less men they can put in the box, pure and simple. Sure. And if they have to move guys in the box because OU's running the ball successfully, then that is another factor in terms of how the passing game gets better, right? You got to move guys up, and then all of a sudden, we're going to leave a guy on Coleman for a stretch. Okay, Mateer knows that, and you got an elite guy who's going to win one-on-one matchups. Yeah, if you throw him the ball and tell him to win the play. So I think and that's for any quarterback. So I think that's why there's separate money for Coleman. OU's going to improve their roster through the portal. They're going to fix some holes. We know this. Nagy said this. His background and record says this. This is why we have a GM playing chess, and we don't have an ex-player as our GM playing checkers. We have someone that understands that.
Right. And folks, Benji, if you're right here. You can get Coleman and not affect shoring up everything else. They've got the money to do this. They're not doing this to short anything else. I can assure you of that.
No, not going to.
If they, and I'm not saying that they're going to get him. I'm just telling you that if you land Cam Coleman, they have that money set aside for Cam Coleman anyway.
Yeah, it's not.
Or like him, somebody like him.
Yeah, they're not. If there's another guy that comes that they have that same ranking, I'm not sure who that would be, but we can once that happens.
The Michigan State kid.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, he's probably close to that. So, but Nagy's got money for the holes that he wants to fill. This Coleman thing is a separate deal. So he's going to get Coleman, and he's not going to get worked by some agent. He understands last and best and all these things.
Yeah.
He's not. He's. I mean, Coleman has professional representation. It's not like
Of course.
his uncle's brother's, nephew, cousin, whatever. He has some. So he has folks that Nagy will know how to negotiate with because he's done this all the time. He knows how to negotiate with agents. This is the part that you. This is why Nagy was such an addition because a lot of the people that are GMs in college don't have anywhere near his experience.
Yeah. Bishop Frank, welcome into the show. Thank you. If a true freshman is a legit, you let him play. And you do. Look,
Yeah.
again, Tory Blaylock, I feel like if they'd have had a better scheme, he'd have had a better year as far as the run, because the RPO wasn't working well. They didn't run block great. But when you've got some true freshman players on the offensive line that are going to make mistakes, you see some of that. And you didn't have very good tight end.
Let's just
blocking
call it.
tight ends. It was tough, right?
Let's just call it. Taylor Tatum as a freshman, if he had not fumbled.
Well, he didn't start fumbling until he got that really bad concussion.
That's true. So if he had been healthy and he hadn't fumbled, he would have been the feature back in 24. He was trending that way. I mean, that's just, if you don't remember that from the way the games were going, that's what would have happened. So we'll see. I mean, the running backs are gonna, you probably have, as I said before, Blaylock and X-Rob are gonna have light springs on some level, right? You're gonna have them go through a light spring depending upon what their rehabs and what they need to do to get right.
Sure.
And we don't know that right now, but we know that X-Rob's got a knee cleanup coming, and we know that Blaylock probably has something going on with his shoulder coming up, right?
So, sounds like that second back from Missouri is also going to be in the portal as well. If not, Ahmad Hardy too. How pissed he got at Drink last week would not surprise me if Hardy wasn't in the damn portal too. They're going to have to damn sure pay him to keep him around. But guys, I'm going to say this one more time. This wish upon a star stuff, what are you talking about, bro? What are you talking about? Listen, first of all, the things you're saying in there, if you haven't been paying attention to my show and the first thing you said, long time no see, you hadn't been around much, you know that I don't want to see, I don't want to see John Mateer come back. I don't care. I think he's coming back. I don't see Michael Hawkins probably starting over him because it's not going to be a competition, even if you wanted it to be. That being said, if you're not going to do that, you better load up the damn cupboard with everything else that you can get. You better. End of story. And the hope would be, and yeah, look, hope is not a plan, but you better hope that they have a plan at the Switzer Center on how to get better on offense. Because the bottom line is simple. Get better, do better on offense. That's what held you back this year. End of story. You cannot lean on your defense that way, the way that they did all year, and expect that shit to work year after year. It's not going to work.
Well, you want to get to it. Let's just call it. You want to get a bye. You want to be either a home game with
conference champion, man. Yeah.
Get a bye, or you want a home game against number 11 or number 12. You don't want 9 or 10. Those are just the facts, right? That talent pool is staggered there. So, but yeah, I mean it's OU has the money to make a run up Cam Coleman if they want. If they can, we'll see what happens with that. I know, guys, it's a 1-year rental. Everyone knows this. OU will give him a 2-year contract just to give him some safety and assurance. But we know it's a 1-year deal. So let's not. No one's pretending that we're thinking you're getting him for 2 years. So that's not an intelligent topic to discuss, right? It's just not.
Yeah, I don't know that we have a ton of time to talk about this either. I'll just say a couple of things. Get the footwork down. Quit throwing fucking shortstop jumps. That would help.
Yeah, but
that'll probably help.
Improve your mechanics that you can.
Improve your
decision. Improve your decision
making. Guys
making.
in the box. Just count the guys in the box, for fuck's sake. If you're going to run the RPO, be able to count to 6 and know how many are in the box, and be able to make the read after you switch too. You know what? And these are things that a guy that's been in the system for as long as he has should be able to recognize at this point. I don't know that you get to that point, but again, you're going to have to find a way to put more points on the board. And it doesn't have to be a ton. I think you need to average 28 or more than likely, to be able to go out. I mean, if the defense is as good as it was a year ago, maybe you only need 24. You better be able to get as many as you can when you can. And when you have weapons like what they're talking about, and I don't know what's going to happen. Hell, maybe they get them, maybe they don't. I think there's plenty of wide receivers are a dime a dozen. I hate to say that, but they kind of are. There's a lot of guys out there. Omarion Robinson from Colorado would be a great pickup. He's a big kid, big target. Is he?
That's Amari Miller.
Miller. I meant Miller. I don't
Robinson.
know. He's here. That's our guy. Man. Yeah. Never mind. That's man. Oh, I said that. Anyway, yeah. But Omarion Miller, stud, right? Stud.
There's a guy from FIU, and you're like, FIU. Why would you go after that guy? Well, he's 6'5", he's 215, and he's had a huge season. So that's why you would do that. So you're right. You can find gems at wide receiver all throughout the portal. The guy that made the big play for USC last night, he's a Division III transfer. You can do that. Or if you see a unicorn, go buy a unicorn, right? And then move on. But you want to talk about some portal retention and some targets?
Yeah, let's talk about a few more, though. The next question everybody's been having in there was, let me see, what was the next one? Yeah, is obviously Sategna. You kind of alluded to that. Kip Lewis is the one that I want to talk about the most anyways. What's happening on that one? Is that a done deal, as we've heard? And what's going on with your tight end thing, too, before we get into that, because we're talking about portal ads.
Yeah, so Kip Lewis is obviously kind of gone from going pro, at senior day, the last Bama game, to, I think, leaning towards returning. OU and his personnel, his representation are ironing out a contract this week. And I think we'll see an announcement from him within a couple of days that he's returning to OU, unless something else, something happens with that deal where they just can't find an agreement. And I think, obviously, if you're OU and you're looking at the guys you've got returning, linebacker's the weakest spot if you lose Kobe, Owen, and Kip. If you could bring Kip back, that's similar to bring R. Mason Thomas back last year. You make that move, you spend that money, and you bring Kip Lewis back. Because at a minimum, Kip Lewis and Sam O, that's a pretty stout linebacker duo as your starting linebacker group.
Absolutely.
When you think about a potential,
especially if you get Owen, yeah.
And you've got Heineke who's going to need to file a lawsuit to get a waiver, and this whole NBA, G League, Euro League stuff that the NCAA is doing probably gives him a window in that lawsuit because they're messing around with eligibility stuff left and right. So I think there's a chance that a lawsuit could get Owen back. And if you have Sam O, Owen, and Kip as your linebacker trio to start the year, and you add some pieces, you got some developmental guys. James Nestor's probably, I called him the Taylor Wine, preseason Taylor Wine Improved Player Award candidate. James Nestor's one of those guys, limited. We've seen him in stretches. He looks good. He looks good on the hoof. And then with real playing time, what could he do? We saw that with Taylor Wine. I think there are a couple of guys on the Sooner defense that have that kind of label to them. So I think you spend the money to bring Kip back, and I think it's trending that way. I think Sategna is basically the same similar issue. We found money to bring back Deion Burks. That money's freed up. You redirect it to Isaiah Sategna, and he's had a good year. He's enjoyed his time in Norman. He can maybe improve his draft stock a little bit. But overall, I think there's a good chance you get Sategna back as well. And if you do that, those are two steps in the right direction, right?
Absolutely. Retention is the last two national championship winners had a lot of experience on the roster.
Look at Ohio State last year, all the guys they brought back, and Michigan the year before it.
They added, but they also added in the portal. This is kind of where I want to make that connection.
Yeah.
Quinshawn Judkins, you bring in Caleb Downs. These are studs. Then you bring in Will Howard, who's got a lot of experience. I mean, and matter of fact, he's played in a New Year's game. He won a conference championship at K-State. This kid was, he wasn't great all the time, but he had his moments. Chip Kelly worked just fine with that. When you have that kind of experience on the roster, and you're going to have experience in a lot of, if you bring back Kip and you bring back Isaiah Sategna, that's experience. You've got experience on the defense, especially with Kip and those guys, the safety room with Peyton Bowen. You've got some guys that have some experience. Now you add a guy like Cam Coleman who has legitimate experience in the SEC. He's a take the top off type of dude. This is a signal. If you're going to pay for Coleman, and I'm answering this question to True Okie, the expense of losing younger talent or hindering their development. Look, younger talent hindering development. If they're ready, if your dog's going to bite, he bites as a puppy. For a lot of these skill guys, they could CD Lamb. You know what I mean? These guys are ready to rock and roll when they're ready to rock and roll.
Sterling Shepard, Ryan Broyles.
Yes. Hey, Dede Westbrook.
Exactly.
These guys are ready when they're ready.
Marvin Mims as a freshman was very productive.
Shit, yes, he was. And again, sometimes it is what it is, but Cam Coleman was a very productive freshman, and they didn't throw the ball worth a shit at Auburn. And he had you know what I mean? He had a good year.
OU's offense struggled this year. I think we're not going to argue that point. Auburn's offense was much worse, and we kind of know why because we know who their trigger man was. Sure. So, but they had 3 points in regulation against what was it, Vandy or somebody like that, or maybe it was not Vandy, it was somebody else, Missouri or something. They couldn't put points on the board to save their lives. So Coleman, if the question is, you're saying, well, why would Coleman want to come here? I think a very easy point is, well, we played, you saw us, and Isaiah Sategna got 1,000 yards in our offense. We think you can do that or better. I mean, that's a very easy point. So, but I think they're gonna retain those two players. They're both all SEC candidates, right? And if you retain Kip, that basically gives you 7 guys that are all SEC caliber on your starting defense. Taylor Wine, Jaden Jackson, David Stone, Kip Lewis, Eli Bowen, Cortland Guillory, and Peyton Bowen. That's 7 guys, and I think Mike Boganowski and Danny Okoye and whoever plays linebacker next to Kip. I mean, I'm not worried about those pieces there. I'm not worried about Boganowski taking it.
2 of the best linebacker coaches in the country that have both been defensive coordinators, along with defensive coordinator, head coach Brent Venables, who coached linebackers.
He was the linebacker coach. I mean.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And but Nate Dreiling is a 4-time All-American. You know what I mean? And these guys, they know what they're doing with that. If they like James Nesta, there's a reason they like James Nesta. You know what I mean?
And he moved off baseball because he's so focused on his football career. And everyone says he looks great, and we forget he's a big kid. He's 6'3", 235. And I'm the recruiting guy. I watched his high school film. That guy's an effing athlete. He hits. He's got a big frame. I don't know that he's going to be Danny Stutzman like, but if you want a quick comp, that's the one I leap to. He's 6'3", 235. That's what Danny Stutzman basically played at, and he's as athletic as Danny. But that's what I'm saying is that you got 7. You can say to Coleman, our defense is loaded. We got 7 guys that were on SEC lists from one way or the other, and then on defense, and then we're bringing back Kenny Stills overrated. What the hell is someone that?
It might be one of the dumbest. Again, Penn State guy doesn't ever really say anything that's smart.
Okay, because that's like that's maybe the dumbest thing I've ever heard. The guy cashed multiple checks in the NFL.
Listen, he's a Penn State fan. What the fuck is he?
But yeah, so I think with Kip and Isaiah Sategna back, that's 2 huge ads. These guys are first team SEC candidates.
I still think that Giovanni Gibson is going to be a big time. If you can keep him and he's healthy, We know what kind of explosion we saw on
We saw
film.
the signs. We saw the signs at the end of
And
the
he
year.
looked good at the end of the year. Yeah, I just don't think he was ever 100% up to speed. And he had a broken leg. It makes sense.
Yeah, it's
There's
Jermichael
other
Carter.
guys.
Jermichael
Jermichael
Carter.
Carter looked really good at the end of the year. I mean, in that
He
last game,
enrolled. He enrolled early. He enrolled late. He had a late
late. Yeah.
run, and so it made sense mid-season. All of a sudden, he's like, now I'm starting to get this stuff. I'm practicing better. So the coaches are like, okay, we can trust him more, and he made plays when he got in the game. So, he's not devoid of talent, but if you can add a unicorn, you add a unicorn. It's that simple. But I think the best news I think I got for you, Jason, is to move to portal targets. Is it looks like OU's going to add 3 tight ends from the portal. They're clearing out the room, starting over. And the first name, if you guys haven't heard this name before, Hayden Hansen from University of Florida, from Weatherford, Texas.
Yep.
6'7" or 6'8", depending upon who you want to believe. So he's at least 6'6" from the way measurements go, right? We know how that goes. But he's 270, 275. And if you don't trust me when I say he would be the best blocking tight end OU's added, possibly since Brody Eldridge in the 08, 09s, trust Gabe Eichert, because he said the same damn thing on Twitter last night. And this guy, if you wonder how Florida beat up Texas, Hansen dominated Texas's defensive ends and blocking and set up the running room for the Bow kid. Jaden Bow. He was a big part of that. Jaden Ball. And he was a big part of the reason why that running game set up Lagway throwing bombs to Dallas Wilson. So he's a big kid. He automatically upgrades everything we want to do from a tight end blocking standpoint. And OU appears to have a big lead on him from the portal. A couple other names to think about. One is New Mexico State tight end Dorian Thomas. He's 6'4", 240. Had a big game against Michigan this year. Against the best competition he played very well. Then we've got a wild card, and I mentioned this on the recruiting intel. So guys, if you're on both podcasts, please allow me to repeat. Nagy's going to find guys from colleges where we're like, well, where the hell is that college from? And where the hell that guy come from? He did that routinely for the Senior Bowl. He's going to do it for OU. And a name that fits that is Luke Danecki, a tight end from Minnesota Duluth. That's his college. And he had 1,200 yards receiving last year at the tight end position. I've watched his film. Level of comp is not great, but he's like the Terminator out there. He's just absolutely physically dominating them to an absurd level. So, that's a name to keep an eye on. And, Brody Foley from Tulsa. I think OU is lurking in the background there in terms of where he may go. Don't be surprised if that comes a little more to the forefront. And when we're talking about, OU and Nagy and staff are also looking at underutilized, underappreciated assets at other teams. Like, this coaching staff didn't know what they were doing with this guy. We should grab him at a low value, bring him in, and we can get more. We can get more out of him. Our development and coaching staff can get more out of them. And Brody Foley last year was at Indiana. A good passing team, a good football team. I mean, they hit some struggles, but they were a good football team. He had 0 catches, 0 TDs. Went to Tulsa and blew up, and now he's the best tight end probably in the portal. So OU's looking to add 3 guys. There's some other tight ends that have added that OU's probably keeping an eye on, but they're going to add 3 guys to the tight end room to reset that room and give the young guys that they're now tracking and finally starting to make some recruiting headway on, give them some runway to develop. So that's the tight end room. At linebacker, if they do lose Kip and they lose Owen, 2 names to keep an eye on: Owen Long from Colorado State and Owen Chambliss from San Diego State. I can tell you, the linebacker talent, coaching talent in Norman's ridiculous. And if those guys, if I've ID'd those guys on film and like them, those guys are going to be serious linebackers somewhere. I mean, I know Colorado State and San Diego State don't mean much to everybody, but we didn't hire Nagy so that we could offer every failing 5-star leaving Alabama, LSU, or Texas or anywhere else, right? The payoff on those guys is very low. Oh, you did a great job with Kendall Daniels and Marvin Jones Jr., but they had recruiting relationships with them. They knew those kids. So they bet on, and they knew what the issue was, and they bet on them being able to get them to play hot, and they did. So if you don't run hot, you don't play on OU's defense. The kids knew that, and the coaches told them that from day one. And those guys came in and did what they needed to do. So at running back, there's a rumor Caden Durham's going in the portal. I think he would be someone OU would at least kick the tires with. Lloyd Avant from CSU is probably going to be someone OU adds. He's an all-purpose back, depth piece, return specialist as well. Maybe you don't want Sategna always out there returning punts. You want to, the way to avoid injuries is you lessen workload on people, right? Mm-hmm. This is a simple fact that exists. And with 105 scholarships, you've got more depth pieces so that you can add, so that you reduce the workload in certain areas. You have legit backups that you can play where you're not, dropping back a step. This is what we saw on defense, right? We basically, we probably played, 27 guys on defense routinely?
Yeah, he was talking. I've heard him talk about 30 guys that have played, and there's probably at least that many that there were 30 guys.
We know there's 22, right? Because we could just rattle them off. Easy. And then every game. That many. And then you could probably come back to us and say, by the way, these guys also played. Like, oh, okay, all right, it's closer to 30. So you want that sort of depth on offense as well, right? O-line, it's a little harder to shuffle in the guys the way you do on the D-line. But you want that kind of depth, and you want some of those depth pieces. So adding another running back and carrying 6 running backs, not 4, makes more sense with a 105 roster, right? It just simply does. It's a position where it's a wear and tear position, so having 6 guys versus 5 or 4 just makes sense. So at wide receiver, you mentioned Amarian Miller. I think that's a definite name they're looking at. There's some other names. The portal's just been adding good receivers left and right in the last couple of days. So there's players out there that they could add. I think Romine is probably a little lower on the list, but I think that if OU needs to add 3 linebackers because everybody gets cleared out, then I think you get beyond Long and Chambliss and you think about adding a third person, especially a senior veteran. If someone you need to give the green dot to, someone who can walk in, absorb the OU system quickly, and could be a green dot linebacker. I think that's what you're looking. That's what you're looking for. Guys, I'm just using Texas as an example. They have 5 stars. Sometimes their 5 stars don't work out. And if I need to give you an example, Jonte Cook. End of case, move on, right? So
CJ Baxter wasn't 5-star, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. He got hurt. So, and it doesn't have to be. I'm not saying that the kids are bad or Texas is doing bad things. I'm just saying you didn't hire Nagy.
5 stars don't work out everywhere.
Yeah,
it happens all the time.
At Bama, Georgia,
it's not a fucking perfect science, folks. Otherwise,
you just hire them. You just pay those guys. Especially look at the quarterback, the 5-star quarterbacks that recently from that one class. It's a mess. But all I'm saying is, you didn't bring in Nagy to just offer big money to guys from the recruiting lists on rivals. Mm-hmm. And if you can't understand that, then we have a logic gap that I can't breach. O-line, Blake Cherry from, I believe is he from Owasso, Sapulpa? I thought he was from Sapulpa. He went to Arkansas. He's 6'5", 315. He would be a good offensive guard, offensive center. OU had a prior relationship with him. They're talking to DJ Chester from LSU. He's 6'5", 320. He was forced to play center this year. He struggled, but I think there's probably talent and experience there that you could leverage and bring him in. And he's a guy that could play multiple positions if you wanted to go there. That is correct, Tulsa. JFA was a 5-star. And we have he's probably going to be at UTSA backing up somebody next year. If
Texas State.
well, I mean, it's just I don't know where he goes in Division I football in Power 5 or Power 4 or G5. I mean, I don't know. So those are two guys to look at. They also look at some defensive linemen. The big name is Cody Sigler from Arkansas State. Everyone's like, Arkansas State? Well, guys, Auburn, Penn State, and 4 other big-time programs want him. OU's bringing him in. He's a big guy. He would be a big piece he'd be a nice rotation piece added to the defensive tackle group that OU has. He's a little bit of insurance in case Trent Wilson and Nigel Smith don't quite develop at the speed that we think they are. I think both of those kids are going to be like Taylor Wine once they're unleashed with reps. And I think in spring we're going to hear those names a lot because, again, just like the freshman running backs, Walker and Hatton, to get a lot of work in spring because Blaylock and Exrob don't need work. They just don't. They don't need the work that the freshmen need. But on the defensive line, you don't need to work Jaden Jackson and David Stone that hard in spring. You want to force feed those reps to Wilson and Nigel Smith. And the 2 freshmen that are going to be in early. You want to Carrington and Brian Harris. You want to develop those guys. So, but anyway, Cody Sigler would be an insurance piece against that. You plug him in, and all of a sudden you're probably back to a 5 or 6 defensive line rotation that we had last year. So, presuming Marcus Strong stays, there's some folks trying to throw money at Strong, and I think he's probably weighing I need to stay with Todd Bates. He's developing me correctly. And let's just call it what it is. Marcus Strong is, with 2 more years under Todd Bates with his physical skills, is a second-round pick in the NFL.
Stud, man. He's a big boy. He looks like he's excited about what he's going to be excited about. You got to be excited about Trent. You got to be, and you know that I'm, the biggest Nigel Smith fan there is. So, that I honestly can't wait to see what he's going to be. And you look at him as another disruptor like G Baby, and that's just kind of what he looks like.
And he's bigger, taller, and longer, and maybe G Baby was probably quicker, but Nigel's got the tools.
He doesn't want to get all the way to. I had him on the show before he committed. And he had talked about that he wasn't really interested in getting all the way to 300. We know that G Baby obviously struggled to get to 300 because he just wasn't that.
Well, Nigel's already 295, so
right. But his speed and his ability, his athleticism is fantastic.
Oh yeah.
If all you got to do is watch him play basketball in high school when you knew that he was going to be legit. Excited about what he's going to be. I think that Nigel's going to be great. I'm really glad that they found the money to keep him around last year. Sounds like hopefully. Knock wood. Same happens this year. But yeah, retention is the biggest part of this. If they're going for a national championship this year, if they're really swinging for the fences, then, and whatever that may be, whatever that may look like, whoever they may be bringing in, it's a retention thing on top of that. Again, that's exactly what Ohio State, they retained the best parts of their team that they already had. They added a few key pieces, and it worked. It's not a guarantee that it's going to work, but again, you add some guys that have a lot of football under their belt and have proven to be very good, and in a league like the SEC, which if we're talking Cam Coleman, there you go. He was you were talking about the tight end from Florida. He was a true freshman. And wasn't he a true freshman? Or
no, he's a junior. He's a junior. He's got veteran.
What was I thinking? But he played pretty much
since he got there. Yeah, he's been blocking.
That's what it was. He's been on the field since he was a freshman. But
yeah.
But he's a huge guy. I mean, I don't know how well he catches the ball. I don't care. Block. Be a good blocker.
And he can catch the ball. OU thinks he's underutilized. That Florida offense was a mess last year.
Oh,
it was.
Yeah.
For everything. So just another name for you, for an example of a lower level name that maybe comes into play for OU. Balam Miller from St. Francis University, which is in Philadelphia, apparently. He's 6'5", 310. He's got 2 years to play. I've seen some film. He's an athletic big man, right? And Todd Bates could take that and clearly turn that into something, right? we know this. We know how Todd Bates works. So at running back, Caleb Hawkins. Everyone's like, well, he's automatically going to OSU. I think OU will have a conversation with him and make sure that they're not. Make sure that they are not missing out on an opportunity to upgrade their running back room. Again, as I said, I think they're going to go with 6 running backs, and they'll go with. They want to have more depth there. We do not want to be in the position where Blaylock and Robinson have to be out there because no one else can play. Mm-hmm. And they'll avoid that. That won't happen this year. If one of those guys is nicked up, Hatton and Zephon Walker will be getting reps and will be out there. Old Spring, they're going to be working. They're going to be working very hard in spring to get ready for the fall because that's how you want this to work. And I think OU will add a back. I mean, just to clear up something, Hollywood Smothers didn't leave OU because he was unhappy or he was mad at DeMarco Murray or any of those things. He had to get back to North Carolina because he had a family situation there that was causing him problems with staying in Norman. I'm guessing after a couple of years at NC State and shining out, he's kind of cleared that up. And if you added Hollywood Smothers back to our room at running back, I think that would be a big addition. He can play. That kid can play. So, yeah. But that's kind of the portal stuff.
He looked really good at NC State this year for sure. And I'm glad to hear about it. Look, if it works itself out now, he's ranked very high. He's going to demand a big dollar.
Yeah.
So I think that's you probably get him if you don't get you probably go after depth pieces and maybe somebody a little cheaper if you get a guy like Cam, right? I mean, maybe not though, but kind of depends on I think what you're going to do there, right? As far as if you get Cam Coleman, you probably don't get the most expensive guy. But then again, maybe you don't have to pay so much to get Hollywood.
Well, yeah, and the nice thing is you have more background and vetting on Hollywood. So if he does ask for a little more money, you have the coaching staff saying, "We know this kid. This isn't a Jade Knott repeat."
True.
Right. So Nagy can say, "Well, I don't want to make
he wasn't injured, right? I mean, that's good news. He's not coming off an injury or anything like that.
He's not, and and like I said, he missed his senior year of high school, so he was behind to help OU when he first got to Norman, and then he was stuck on the the 2024 thing was a mess. So he left. He left after I believe the 23 season. He didn't get to play as much because he was behind because he missed his senior year of high school because of a weird eligibility thing. So,
yeah,
his work ethic. He played in 2023. He knows DeMarco. This isn't. There's less. If
he knows exactly what he's getting into in the room anyway. Yeah,
exactly. Absolutely. So if he says that he needs, I need this to make this happen. Sure. Nagy can say, well, I love what you bring, so let's make that work. I can, we saw it in recruiting and with Jonathan Hatton, right? OU pulled Hatton back because he wanted to play for DeMarco, and Nagy was able to say, I love your senior film. We're going to move the NIL number just a little bit so that you can walk away from A&M feeling confident that OU's got your back. These are the situations. This is why we have a true NFL negotiator as a GM. The retention thing is going great. And why is it? Because Nagy has told kids all season long about how they're doing. So when they sit down and meet with him to go over their NIL number, there are no surprises. And I'm just using this as an example, guys. I'm not saying this happened. But if David Stone's folks said, well, we need to be closer to this, and Nagy's like, okay, cool, no problem. And then he comes back, I got this for you, but I've also got this as well. It avoids there's no miscommunication. There's no misconceptions about what folks, are going to get paid when they walk into Nagy's office with their agent and sit down. Nagy's been sending their agent proposals all through the year, letting them know what he's thinking. This is what a professional GM does with a professional scouting staff. And it's all the comments about, well, OU doesn't do this and OU hasn't done that. Guys, just throw it out the window until we have a chance to sit back and review what OU did this portal period with in Nagy's first January portal. What we did before doesn't matter. It's meaningless. Well, we did this 2 years ago. We bought bargain basement tight ends last year. Nagy wasn't here for that. So throw it out. He's here this year, and he's already apparently locked in the best blocking guy that he thought he could see on film. That's a good sign. We'll see what happens with the other tight ends, but they want 3 tight ends, and they're upgrading the room. So, so Jason, I think that's where we are with the portal. It's all coming to a head. We'll see players visit OU this weekend coming up, and maybe some surprise names. You may be like, well, Chris didn't mention this guy, and why has he showed up? It's because Nagy is a stealth bomber. He's
not going to talk. There's not going to be any.
He's a United States Navy ballistic missile submarine that no one can ever detect, and it just he's an Ohio. Right. He's an Ohio class SSBN as a form of you can't detect him. He's the Red October, and he's engaged the Caterpillar drive for old time action movie fans.
Right. What we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to do a quick commercial because, folks, everybody that's in the comment section, I wanted to bring in Mr. Mason this morning to answer any questions that you may have that he can't answer. So if he didn't already cover it, I'm going to do this commercial, but pop some questions in there and I'll get to them. I've already started a couple, so we'll do that real quick. Check out Fanatics. Are you tired of your game day gear looking like it's stuck in the offseason? Well, step up your fandom with Hall of Fame College Football's official Fanatics partner store. Whether you're a diehard Oklahoma Sooners fan like myself, bleeding Crimson and Cream, or you rep another one of the SEC's heavy hitters, Fanatics has you covered. Shop thousands of officially licensed hats, jerseys, sideline polos, and exclusive championship merch from the entire Power 4 and Group of 6 too. All shipped directly to your doorstep and fast. Want to gear up like your favorite coaches and players? Are you looking for that perfect tailgate tee or a statement piece for your man cave? Fanatics is your one-stop shop for authentic college football gear from everybody that plays the game. So do yourself and your team a favor. Click our link in the description or simply log on to hofmedia.us/fanatics. That's hofmedia.us/fanatics. And you can shop everything that you want for the best prices of the day right on our Fanatics partner page. All right, welcome back. All right, I got a couple in here so far.
Okay.
Let's start off with Dylan Dean. What's center look like next year? Branson Hickman going to move up, or maybe Heath Ozida, or do we get one? Michaela was great at pass protection, but really hurt our run game.
Okay. So obviously, Michael is going to be your starter. That's what I would guess. I think they will pick up. I think that's a great question. I think they should cross-train Heath Ozida at center in spring. Let him play right guard as much, but also focus on him snapping. I think a move to center could be very productive for him after Michaela leaves.
Ozida?
Ozida, I think he could be a good center. I think they will also look to sign someone in the portal who has center experience and has the flexibility to play center to give you three centers on the roster. So yeah, they're definitely going to look to add a guy who has center experience who can also play guard. They may add 2 guys like that just to beef up those positions. The wild card at guard, obviously, I think is Darius Afalava. If he's healthy, he was had a knee surgery, which meant he wasn't available for the fall. If he has a good off-season conditioning, he's 6'4". Let's hope he's closer to 330 than 360 from that perspective. But I think he could make could be a force at guard, which could allow you to just tell Ozetta you're going to be our backup guard on both spots, but also we want you to be our backup center. I think there's some sense to that from there. Also, Ryan Foji apparently can snap the ball and can play center too if he needs to. That's something to just keep an eye out.
Yeah, listen, I heard it's tough to transition from guard to center. It happens a lot. Nobody's a center right off the bat usually.
Febechi Wewu did it.
Febechi Wewu looked fantastic. I wonder why the hell he wasn't doing that a long time ago.
Well, but you robbed Peter to pay Paul a little bit, but I understand that.
Sure.
But I do think Wewu may have made himself some NFL. I don't want to say NFL money, but NFL interest. Now that he can play both and proved it, that makes him a much more valuable position for a 4th or 5th round draft pick. A guard center.
Febechi was their best lineman for the last 2 years. There's no two ways around. I mean, at least the most consistent, right?
Well, he was the most available.
True that.
Availability.
But he's got a mean streak in him. He'll hit you, and he was freshman All-American too. I think fantastic. But I was like, we were pleasantly surprised when we saw what he did those last couple of games at center.
Well, I mean, there wasn't a bad. I don't recall a bad snap.
No, not one. No, and listen, if bad snaps, you don't think about them because they usually don't happen, but when they happen for damn sure.
They'll cost you a football game. They will ease. That's a turnover waiting to happen.
Blake Cherry is a center possibility. Also,
you are correct. He has that ability to play that. That's why I mentioned that when you saw Nagy, he was saying, I need guys who have some flexibility on the offensive line. If you're a right tackle, you better be able to play right guard. If you're a guard, you better be able to play center. The only position he's probably going to not have as much flexibility on is, if you can only play left tackle and you're elite at left tackle, fine, done. But other than that, you need to move around. Yeah, okay, Jason and I talked about this offline a bunch. It just came down to injuries and development, and he lost the last year, and that made him tough for OU to retain him. And I think he probably needed a new start somewhere as well.
I've talked to Marcus a little bit, and I think that it got to a point. I don't want to get too crazy about what we're talking about here with all that stuff, but I would tell you that I think that he was ready at some point this year. They decided that they were going to stick with the freshman, and moving Foji in and out and all that kind of stuff too. So I would tell you that I think that Foji was better at guard than he was at tackle. If he was ready to go in at right tackle, you could have probably played him. That being said, I hate it that he's gone at 6'7", 320, and he can move the way he can move. He's gonna find a place to play, folks. And I would tell you that much. He's also working with Willie Anderson, who's that's who he's training with right now, who's a soon to be Hall of Famer. So we're talking about a guy I don't know where he's going to end up. I know that there's a lot of interest all around the country for him. Around the country for him. So,
and we wish him nothing but success.
And I wish him nothing but absolutely. But the truth is, if you're going to get stuck behind some younger guys, and it doesn't look like it's probably best for him to go because of the fact that he's got 2 other guys that are freshmen. Now he's probably got still 4 years, maybe 3 left, but he's got a red shirt. Plus, he was hurt enough last year. I think he can get a medical red shirt. He may have 4 seasons. In any event, you don't want to sit around and wait on 2 guys that were playing as true freshmen. You know that's more time.
Who are a class ahead of you, basically.
And be depth guys. And be a depth guy behind that. So for the sake of business-wise, it doesn't make sense for him to stay.
No, it doesn't. And I'm sure OU was kind of presenting that to him as well. Like, look, we're doing this in the portal, that's in the portal. We're going to bring in different pieces, So I think that just played out the way it's a business, guys. Guys that got to make decisions. Daniel UK, the Daniel Akinkimi. This is a big spring for him. He's got to make a move, or he probably needs to think about. If he doesn't think he can make that move, he needs to think about hitting the portal so he can play. He needs to get on the field and get some reps. So
Yeah, because he could probably get snuck up on by guys like Darius. Now he's already lost a spot to a true freshman on one side, or maybe not. I mean, Foji's a tackle at the moment.
Well, yeah, but he also spot to EPL. EPL's the same class as he is.
EPL's the same class, and then you also have Darius Afalava be coming in this year.
So
supposedly, right?
Yeah,
right?
that's
should be back.
Everything. But so the story is that OU would probably promote the guy below Schmitty, who is a long time strength and conditioning coach, a veteran as well. Been at Iowa. I think he's been at Nebraska. A couple of different places. It's not Balsam. That's the wrong. That's not the right. That's close. It's like it's a B. Now let me pull it up here real quick. It is. Okay. Sorry, it's James Dobson. He's been at Vanderbilt, Nebraska. He's a good guy. I could also see some changes and some additional personnel being brought in. That Nagy wants to make some changes there. Maybe he looks for an NFL guy. I don't know, but I think if Schmitty does retire, and that's looking like the case, it's going to be that it looks like James Dobson at the very least would be the interim guy, maybe interim to permanent.
Okay.
But I do think Nagy might say, folks might say, well, Dobson will take over, and I could see Nagy saying, whoa, let me look at some resumes, let me look at some NFL guys first. Let me just review things quickly. Baklenko's not in the portal.
Okay.
At least not yet. He may jump in the portal. I mean, he needed to.
I heard last night that he was going into. So that's not the first place I've seen that.
No, I've seen it as well, but he's not in yet. That's a situation where OU had hoped they could probably redshirt him and do some strength and conditioning stuff with him, and then all the injuries and the mess at tackle meant that he had to play more. So he's now he's got. I think he's a senior next year, so he's behind Foji and Fasusi if OU goes that way with their lineup. So yeah, I can imagine that he's not in right now, but he could go in the portal. OU will probably pick up a backup tackle in the portal to give them more depth there. Okay. I think they like Deacon Schmidt a lot, and Deacon Schmidt could be in the 2 deep very quickly at tackle.
Okay.
The Colorado kid that they hired, that they just signed. They like him a lot. They want to get him into the 2 deep because I think he's 6'5", 320. He's ready to play. He's very physical. So I think they want to get him and Noah Best into the 2 deep as fast as possible. Just a quick recap. If you haven't heard this, 22 of the 24 freshmen are enrolling early. Both offensive linemen, at least 3 or 4 of the wide receivers. Jake Krill, definitely enrolling early at defensive end. The linebacker group is all coming in. Our buddy, Tristan Moore, is enrolling early. He's already been posting that he's like 19 days away from hitting Norman, and he's excited about it. That's a name to just watch. I don't know how quick that transition will go when he gets on campus because he made a transition from his senior year. But the Tristan Moore at linebacker, at the very least, he's going to be killing people on special teams. So you've got all those. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm listening. No, we don't finish.
Yeah. So you've got guy names like that. So, but yeah, if Baklenko decides to hit the portal, then I think OU's like, okay, you want to play somewhere? That's a business. Folks are going to make business decisions, and I don't think OU is going to. Oh, he entered the portal 15 minutes ago. Sorry, guys, I've been on.
No.
Sorry, guys, I didn't.
The portal 15 minutes ago. I was just looking. That's what I've been doing is looking here. I just found it too.
Yeah, sorry, guys, I didn't see that. Owen Long has also entered the portal. That's a linebacker name to watch. Why did I miss that? Anyway, all right, guys. I'll take your word for it. So yeah, he's obvious. He's a senior. He had to play last year as a junior. He's got 1 year to play. He wants to start somewhere and play somewhere. That makes sense. Thank you, Jimmy. Thanks, guys, for that note.
Hadn't we also heard that Baklenko wasn't happy from the time he got here, though, too?
I think he was. I think the strategy was that he thought he was going to get to redshirt and develop, and then he had to play. And that burned a year of eligibility. And then he didn't play, right? So he was inconsistently playing. So it's like, you burned my year. this isn't kind of what we talked about. I thought this was a more development model. And now I've burned my year, and I've only got a year, and I'm stuck behind two true freshmen who,
He had
so
to go.
from his business perspective, he had to go. It's like Marcus Wimberly made a business decision, right? OU was happy
There's
with
going to
who
be some surprises out there too, guys. You have to expect some surprise guys in the portal. It's going to happen sometimes. I don't think that it's a huge surprise to most of them on the inside because there's a reason why they're probably going, right?
Yeah, like it's like
you can probably see it coming because of whatever's going on in the locker room and on the field.
yeah. So like, and I'm not saying either of these guys are entering the portal, but OU probably has to make a uncomfortable business decision with Gentry Williams and Jacoby Johnson.
I was fixing to say Gentry. I've heard that Gentry's out.
And that may have already been decided, and OU since that, if he's made that decision,
and I hate that, as a he's an Oklahoma kid. He's dealt with some stuff that was probably not definitely not his probably he was definitely injured, and they didn't get it right on the first surgery that year. He lost another year to that. Still came back last year, got hurt again, but the difference between
shoulder,
difference, and that's the thing. Yeah, you get a different shoulder hurt now. But here's the thing. Maybe he needs a new start, number one. Number two, it's a different scenario in the cornerback room than it was the first time he was injured.
Yeah.
So it's on the defensive side especially, guys. We just talked about up to 30 guys that played significant time on the defensive side of the football. They trust and believe in what they've got. And they're recruiting guys to replace those guys. You can't you can't get stuck behind anybody on the depth chart for very long and be injured and expect to be able to play. And it's just those business decisions that have to happen.
It's like you're right. The cornerback position, it's just like the safety position. Wimberly was hurt. Omarion got to play, and OU's bringing in Markel Ford and Nico Jandro.
Yeah, man was doing his thing, man. Yeah.
I mean, so you've got those guys, and at cornerback, Jacoby Johnson had a good end of the year, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're OU, if you got a pool of money, are you spending it on Jacoby or Gentry?
Well, and you're probably, which one of these young corners is probably going to have to go too? Because look, you've got Leak in there, you've got Newcomb in there, you've got these are guys that are probably ready to go.
Well, and Malik at least has the potential to play safety. Cheetah or corner, right? You could play him in any of those positions, right?
Right.
Then you got Tristan Haynes, who's the tallest, fastest cornerback in the entire room, who's coming off his redshirt year.
Absolutely.
And
you've got two freshmen All-American on the front line of that room.
Yeah, I mean, so there's going to be some surprises, but for the most part, OU's doing what they need to do from a retention standpoint.
Sure.
Mateer's returning until we hear something otherwise. The NFL stuff has died. The NFL stuff has died down a little bit. I talked about the NFL stuff before because there was a lot of chatter about that. It's sort of died down right now, but until he confirms he's coming back,
or confirms he's leaving, you got to assume. Look,
one way or the other. Yeah,
Arbuckle wants him back. I know that.
Yeah, there's the Mateer injury and then the lack of development in the midseason, frustrated a lot of people in the Switch channel. Just leave it at that.
Mm-hmm. That's a good question here. Are the O-line recruits OU's in on? Are they Mauler types or are they RPO linemen? It's not.
Well, what do you want me to do?
Everybody knows the RPO, but are they Maulers? I would tell you. They get Maulers. I think that some of the guys that you guys listen. I know that Gabe is over. He's a former lineman, so he's going to be hypercritical of those guys. And I know at times he was hypercritical of them, and there was times that some of them did not look very good. In the end, I think it's more about the offense that they've run and being based in the RPO rather than having that as something that you do sometimes. If they do some right things with their tight ends and fire off the ball, I'd love to see them do it. But it's not about – these guys they're not recruiting – I'll just answer this. They're not recruiting soft-ass linemen. Okay.
None of the
And
high
that's
school, none of the film says, you watch Noah Best ragdolling guys
yes.
out of Midlothian when they're averaging 300 yards a game rushing.
Darius Afalava looked like he would freaking run over his mom.
Shove his grandmother across into the end zone to get a touchdown.
Facts.
And Schmidt, the same thing. So, the guys they've got verbal for 2027 at offensive line are Cooper Hackett, Caden Penny, who are both 5 stars, and then Luke Wilson just basically led Southlake to the, I guess, state semifinals, running behind him. Yeah. Him and his teammate, I think his last name's Dare, going to Michigan, or at least was going to Michigan. So you've got 3 good offensive linemen. They're recruiting guys. The O-line class for 2027 looks like it's going to be very, very good. So it's already good. So,
well, yeah. Right now they're ranked. Are they still ranked number 1 in the?
They're like number 1 or 2. It depends upon how you do the rankings. So, on 3 only grades like 3 players right now. And OU has. Guys, I can give you high school recruiting if you want, because that's my other bread and butter. OU's got like 11 verbal commitments right now for 2027. I've personally heard that OU has at least 4 more from a source I trust that are about to fall in the next 30 days, and they are all big-time players. There's a good chance OU has like 24 commits by spring. That's not beyond the realm of possibility. And they're all high-level guys. You're not taking reaches in January. There's some guys that are underranked, underappreciated. Once the scouting services pick up on the recruiting services, catch up to what Nagy and those guys have figured out, those guys will get ranked higher.
Right. This is pretty. Is there anybody that we haven't heard about that would be surprises going in?
Well, I think the wide receiver room, I think, has some carnage coming to it. I think KJ Daniels, Zion Reagans didn't play this year. I think that's a clear sign of where they are. I think Zion Kearney and Ivan Carrion are probably also discussions with their representation and Nagy about what they need to do, what they should do. You should not be surprised if any of those names enter the portal. And you should not be surprised when Taylor Tatum enters the portal or decides to go baseball only. Mm-hmm. These things should not surprise you. Should not be surprised when Cade McIntyre hits the portal. You should not be surprised if, obviously, is Jake Taylor in? I can't remember if he's officially in or not. I think, the big surprise, I think, and I think it's a business decision he has to make, is Logan Howland. That would be the biggest, maybe I think the biggest blow, and maybe the biggest surprise would be Howland hitting the portal.
Okay.
I mean, I think he's an offensive tackle and he's behind Foji and Fasusi. So,
I've heard that
he's from New Jersey.
I've heard Ozida might be thinking about doing.
I think he is too. I mean, I think that's a discussion as well. But I think for Ozida, you can say, "Hey, right tackle's yours to take. Do this, and then you can take this." And then I do think you have a discussion with him about. And we'd also like you to learn how to play center, which can only help you NFL wise, or if you decide you're in a portal next year, portal wise. The horrifying thing is the numbers in the portal right now, Jason. It looks like there might be 7,000 kids in the portal by the time it really opens, and there might be legitimately only 4,000 spots for them. So it's going to get ugly and bloody from that perspective in terms of kids hitting the portal. From that perspective, I worry about this, though. These kids are not getting college degrees. I know that's traditionalist and simplistic, but college degrees.
I think it's as important as anybody does. I'm with you on that. I think that that's to me the sole mission. If there's a lot of things I like the sole mission for, there's a lot of things that I like about it. That's one of the other things. These these kids that have been at Oklahoma any amount of time are doing really, really well in school, and I mean excelling at that. Aside from the obvious ones that didn't hang around, but or that had to leave. But look, I I was talking to Marcus Dent last night. He's been Isaiah's been fantastic in the class. He's set up for I mean 2 years. I think he's pretty close to having his degree already. He's been a good kid. It's one of the things that they really loved about it was that. Look, I agree with you. I'm going to tell you this. I don't think that everybody has to go to college. I think if you have the opportunity to go to college like these kids do, you need to get a degree and do something with it because there's nothing wrong with having one for sure, right? And I'm with you, man. I think it's a great point to make. The one thing that Calipari said in his whole bullshit diatribe that he said the other day, talking about these guys moving around, was he was talking about, are they going to graduate? Are they going to be connected to your school if they've moved around a bunch of times? No. I'll say again what I said last night. I don't want to hear about it's a player's fault that these things are happening because all of these rules, none of them were made by players. So,
Yeah.
so I would just tell you that it sucks.
We've said 100 times we want the players to unionize and get representation and collectively
And
bargain.
that's the way that you fix a lot of these things that we know that the
And protect
the
themselves.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm saying is the universities, coaches, that I mean, the rules have been made by the slimiest of people, and they're continuing to make rules. But right now, until you get collective bargaining, we've seen that the NCAA is not really allowing anything to stick. Like all these little things, they brought in that I thought it was pretty funny that the what was it the college sports committee or whatever the hell it was,
Yeah.
the CSC. They have no teeth. They were supposed to be the enforcement arm. They have no teeth. None. Everything that they tried to use they're trying to do, talking about that you can't use NIL on top of the of rev share. Okay, yeah. Talk to Texas Tech about that and their $55 million that they spent, right? BYU. I mean, everybody really, for that matter. Hell, Ohio State spent $30 million in at least $30 million just in NIL last year.
Yeah, so it's but you and you're on the same boat about that. We want collective bargaining.
Sure.
We want them to be employees. We want them to have a collective bargaining agreement to protect themselves from these things. I do have one, you can criticize Brent on any number of areas, but I don't think you can criticize him in his genuine approach about how he feels about the players on his team. Making sure they're doing the right things, the sole mission, making sure they go to class, graduating. When Brent's talking that, I think he's very genuine. I don't think it's just coach speak. He's just talking about stuff. He and I think it makes a difference, and parents like the soul mission. It doesn't, and the soul mission guys, the cost of soul mission isn't costing us any players in high school recruiting, NIL, or in the portal.
Guess what? If they're not down for that soul mission in any way, shape, or form, they're probably not recruiting. They're probably not showing up on the radar of Oklahoma.
So again,
for very long anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we've had guys show up on campus and be kicked to the curb right after their visit. I mean, it's happened to a bunch of kids in recruiting. And whenever we drop a kid, sometimes the kid just doesn't want to be in Norman. That's fine. But there are kids that OU's drop it because they're like, yeah, that kid's not a fit here. So that's a piece of this as well. TPR, the scouting department right now, in terms of how they're helping high school recruiting, is operating at a level way beyond I thought they were going to.
Sure.
They are helping in high school recruiting to a level none of us anticipated.
I think what people need to realize, I left that up there because I think we've talked about this a lot before. You think about the Saban effect and stuff like that. The Saban effect happened whenever they were getting guys in, Mark Ingram talks about it. He was a 3-star until he got the offer from Alabama. Then he bumps up to a blue chip player, right? This is what happens when you continue to win, and these guys continue to that you don't know about them in recruiting, but they continue to excel. Once they get to Oklahoma, especially these defensive guys, they're going to start getting that bump too at OU. They got it at Clemson. You realize the first national championship, they had not even gotten a 5-star guy yet on the defensive side or the offensive side for that matter. They had not got one. Once they went and got one, once they won the first natty, then they got a bunch of them. Right?
Once they started going to the playoffs routinely, they got a bunch of them. It just
correct.
It works that way. I mean, it's no surprise. I mean, I'll give you guys something I said on our Sooner Intel recruiting. So if it's a repeat, I apologize again. My sources tell me that 2027 recruiting is going so well. They have a chance to sign so many top players that internal NIL budgets are being reconfigured to make sure they have the money to land those kids. It's like, hey, this top 50 kid we had no chance at, we're going to get an official visit. So I got to make sure that we've got the money to close that gap on NIL to land them. It's just as simple as that. So 27 high school recruiting is going great. And as I said, there's 4 guys silently committed to the Sooners. I'm not going to give you their names. If you follow recruiting, you can figure it out. But there's 4 guys, and every one of them, 3 of them are probably top 100 caliber, and one of them is way underrated. Who's revenge tour talking about? We lost?
Let's see. Well, we lost a rotational cornerback who played every game.
Guys, don't post that without saying a name or giving me a Twitter link. So
give us who you're talking about. Who you talking?
All right,
about?
Devin Jordan is entering the portal. That's not a surprise. I wish that wasn't happening.
We knew that was coming, right?
There was a concern that was happening, just basically because he can.
Well, we just talked about it. The room is deep
and he's
young,
and he can start. He can start probably anywhere in the Big 12. He's a starter in the Big 12 anywhere, probably. I hate losing Tulsa Union cornerbacks because they're usually very successful in Norman. But Devin Jordan is he's stuck behind Eli Bowen and Cortland Guillory. What do you do if this is a case of some other school?
It's different than like Jacoby, because Jacoby's ahead of them and he's a junior now.
He's a senior.
He'll be a senior, right? There's no reason for him to leave. He's playing. Yeah. But if you're the same age or a year older even, and you're stuck behind these guys that are starters and freshman All-Americans, it makes sense.
And here's the thing also. Devin may have gotten a bag from somebody. All good for him. A good school that wants him to start and he needs to start, and they've offered him money, and Nagy's not able to match it for his 4th cornerback. Right? And he knows he's got Tristan Haynes and Malik Hawkins and Derek Johnson coming up behind him.
Yeah, I forgot about Tristan. Yeah.
So this may be a case that Devin got 4X, OU's offering 2X, and he can start at that school. Jim Nagy may have said, son, you should take that opportunity. Those are the business kind of things that Nagy's going to tell people. I hate losing him too, but if you can keep Jacoby and you've got the other, and now Valai's got his guys in, we're not seeing the same cornerbacks as we saw before. I hate losing him, but it's a fact of when you play 30 kids, somebody is going to pay the 26th kid more money than OU can pay them. Mm-hmm. It's just a reality. Mm-hmm. So I'm happy for him. Hopefully he got paid on his way out, and he's going to be a starter somewhere.
He was not up to par with Guillory at the end of the year. Stop it, Kyle. Stop it.
Kyle, he's a very good cornerback. We've said we didn't want to lose him, but this is the reality of where we are.
If he was so up to par, why wasn't he playing? Or he would have been playing over Guillory. Stop it. You always say dumb stuff.
Yeah.
What up there, Boomer Helen? You know what? I hate to lose him too. Being a Tulsa guy and all that other stuff, you wish he was hanging.
I'm from Tulsa. I went to Tulsa Memorial.
It would have been better. But
I
I will
would.
tell you that
He played well. He got. This is. We're going to see a couple of fallouts on our defense from this.
you know what I think is funny about this. He developed way better than Jacoby Johnson. You say that a lot, but when Jacoby was in, you never really heard his name. You know why? Because they didn't fucking throw at him.
Well, and they didn't redirect Devin to wide receiver for a year. And Jacoby had to play as a freshman because our depth at cornerback was terrible, and we didn't have good cornerbacks. So, I hate losing him, but this is the way the portal works. We're gonna see some blows here or there.
Look, and the good news is he's gonna go get paid somewhere.
Yeah,
He's gonna go get paid somewhere and play.
The OU defense has developed him to the point that he's going to get a bag from somebody and start somewhere, and we're going to be, and I'm going to be cheering him and very happy for him, unless he's playing OU.
Facts.
So, but that's just the way things go. So, Jason, do you want to do our picks real quick, and then I'm going to bounce.
Yeah, I didn't make a graphic just so you understand, but
yeah, no, don't worry.
Let me jump on that real quick. All right, let's.
I've got Chris's picks and my picks, so I can start with those to give you a little time.
Yeah, give me 1 second. Go ahead. Let's just talk about. We're just doing this week's games.
Oh yeah. We're just doing this week's game. We're doing the games tonight and tomorrow.
Yeah, let's just talk about it. Obviously, you've got first game tonight is Ohio State and Miami in the Cotton Bowl. Big game. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but clearly, to me, I feel like this is not a 9.5 point spread. I think that's a wild spread. I would definitely take the points in Miami betting it. I do think that maybe Ohio State pulls it out just because I don't know what I believe about. I think that Carson Beck could screw it up. I think that Mario could fuck it up. But they lose a close game if they lose one. And I wouldn't be that surprised because of the advantages on both lines of scrimmage, I believe, if they won the game. I just don't. And
they have the
Julian Saying's he hadn't been tested a whole lot this year against big time offensive line or defensive line.
2 games, and Ohio State hasn't scored more than 14 points.
Exactly. Well, there's definitely, I don't know that they're gonna. You would hope that Miami does a little more than what they did against A&M. If they're going to win that game, they're going to have to, I would think. But I think that if you can hold him to around 14 points, you got a real chance of winning that game if you're Miami, because chances are they get him into some bad decisions. Don't forget the other thing. Ryan Day's calling plays for the first time in a long time. I don't think he was the best play caller in the world once he became head coach anyway. I don't know that I love that. The more I think about it, I kind of feel like they are ripe for the picking here. Now, they did lose that conference championship game, so they're definitely going to be motivated. But it wouldn't surprise me if Miami won here. I definitely think that they cover. I'll go with that. What say you?
I like Ohio State to win. The points seem pretty heavy based upon Ohio State's offensive production against good defenses, and Miami has a good defense and a good defensive line. They haven't shown that they're going to put up 30 points a game against good defenses so far. They played 2 good defenses. They've averaged under 14 points in both games. Beck worries me a little bit against the Matt Patricia defense. I mean, it's not like they from that perspective. So yeah, I agree with you there. Kchris also thinks Ohio State is going to win that game. So. Okay. Bama, Indiana.
Bama, Indiana. I said this too. I've said this
a week and a
half before the Oklahoma Bama game. Whoever wins that game will beat Indiana. I know it's a 7.5 point spread at this point. Just go take the money line and take that free money. I listen. I think that Bama has some warts. I think that they have a much more talented roster, and I do not believe in Indiana. I don't. Sorry.
All right. Kchris agrees with you. I'm gonna go the other side. I think it's a very close game, and Indiana pulls it out But I think it's maybe the best game of the weekend. We're gonna watch a really good football game. The next game, I'm not sure. I think is going to be a good football game, and that's Oregon Texas Tech. So, Chris has Oregon. I have Oregon. I think this could be a 2-touchdown win for the Ducks.
Yeah, I think they win by multiple scores for sure. I'm not a Taco Tech believer either.
I think they've got good talent on defense, but this is the best offense.
They have good talent on defense, but it's thin. That D line, they would have to hold up for 60, 70 plays, and it's not gonna, because they're not that good on the second level. I think that's tough. Look, in the end, there's a lot of speed at Oregon as well. That receiving core is going to give them a look that they haven't seen this year.
And Moore's the best.
Dante Moore's the best passer.
Best passer.
I think he's the best passer in the country, without a doubt.
Well, then you factor in that Tech's not seen an offense like this and a quarterback like this all freaking season. I mean, you could say one thing: Big 12 quarterback play pretty crappy this year.
Yeah, it wasn't great. And Bear Morton certainly was not great.
And I think Oregon's got enough defensive pieces to keep Tech. I mean, that BYU game against Tech in the Big 12 championship was Bearmeyer, Bachmeyer making terrible plays left and right. They weren't doing a whole lot on organic offense. All right, so we all think an Oregon win there. And then UGA Ole Miss. Chris and I have UGA for the win.
Easy.
And I just don't know how.
It's a no-brainer, that one.
I don't know how Ole Miss plays a better game than they did in Athens when UGA's playing better football as well.
No doubt. No, I think that you can't tell me that Lane Kiffin was worth the money he got to leave if it doesn't matter that he's not there.
And there's some ugly disruption rumors about their bowl prep that that it's been alleged that the LSU coaches are recruiting players to go to LSU. So there's a mess there.
Frank Wilson's coming over from LSU.
Yeah,
and some of his staff, and so it's hate Lane time in
it's not.
I think
pretty.
it's
not.
Yeah,
pretty.
It isn't. No, listen, Oxford is an ugly place right now when it comes to that stuff. They're really upset with him. He's made an ass of himself. There's no doubt about it. But you can't tell me that none of that matters.
Yeah,
it's a big distraction, and you're going up against the hottest team in the country in Georgia right now.
Yeah, and Chambliss played out of his mind in Norman and Athens. I'm not sure he's got that heater in his pocket.
I like the guy, but I don't.
Well, but he played out of his mind, though. I mean, out of his mind, the two.
Well, that was before the Georgia defense had really clicked at that point, too.
It was early.
They've been a lot better since. Their defensive line is doing things it wasn't doing at that time.
Yeah,
certainly when they were playing Alabama.
Yeah,
same thing.
So we're with UGA. So we'll be back. I'll probably on our Sooner Intel show to talk about the semis at some point because we're gonna have a bunch of portal stuff to talk about as well.
Sure.
For you guys, but Jason, I'm gonna go ahead and bail out. Thanks so much for having me on.
Appreciate you, man. Hey, thanks for coming on.
And if you need to be back to talk about portal stuff in the coming weeks, let me know.
Make sure you guys get over to Sooners 360. Get over to his Patreon. It's cheap, $1.99. He's got the inside information. Love having you on. Thanks for coming in, man.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Ken. Thanks, Jason.
Have a good one, bud.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year, man.
Happy New Year. Thank you. Chris Mason, Sooners 360, our recruiting and portal insider. Yeah, awesome stuff. Happy birthday. Yeah, Boomer Halen. Happy birthday, my guy. Let's see. Sooner Free. Just here to say TCU is better than USC. Yeah, listen. Clearly. You know, and somebody brought up that short that I did, and I'd forgotten to put anything about Tennessee and Illinois. Look, it was a good game. And all we heard at the start of the year was how Illinois was supposed to be a playoff team. They lost some games at the end of the year. It is what it is, but you know, they're good in the trenches. You know what Brett Bielema is going to do, and I think that there were some things that were considerably not going well at Tennessee towards the end of the year. Their defense was not very good, And so it is what it is, but it was a 2-point loss. Every other game that the Big Ten has won, aside from the Clemson game that Penn State won, and that was 2 bad football teams, but the worst football team that Dabo's ever had at Clemson. The rest of the wins for the Big Ten are against G5 competition, and that includes Oregon. I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed. And this, the idea that, and everybody does this. USC, now they're saying that these bowl games don't mean shit, that we were missing 70% of our starting production. That's one of the numbers that I heard thrown out there on Twitter or something earlier. But what they don't tell you is that, but Hoover's gone. The guy that played quarterback last night for TCU has never played. He didn't take a snap all year. And he beat you. And you still aren't tackling. Come on. Why in the hell is the Big Ten scheduling New Mexico and Central Michigan? That makes no sense. I guess on a really good year, I could understand if, Boise State just misses out on the playoff. So, maybe somebody goes up against them in a New Year's Six type of game. Aside from that, there's no reason you should be playing a Mountain West school. Sorry, there's not. And New Mexico, brother. Oh, man. The fact that 4 bowl games were played against G5 schools is wild to me. The Oregon thing, that's part of their draw or whatever for the CFP. Fine. The rest of them, do better, Big Ten. And especially if you're going to do that, don't pump your chest and talk shit about the SEC when their losses are against Power 4 programs. And it's been not the best teams. So come on. Fuck out of here with that shit. Illinois peaked way too early. I don't know how shocking it would be to me, but I just told you guys, I don't think it's shocking at all if they win. I think that Ohio State either loses this week or next week. But yeah, Matt Leiter talking trash on Tennessee, but SC loses to a Big 12 school. Right. They'd won 7 games. Or no, were they already at 8 wins? I don't remember. Yeah, some of them have been wanting him gone. And when you just lost D'Anton Lynn, and I would even tell you that under D'Anton Lynn, it had not been great defensively even then. All this stuff, it points back to he just don't know what he's doing. He's complimentary is not his thing. You got a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter, and you can't salt the ball away and win that game. We've seen it over and over again with Lincoln Riley. This is his modus operandi. It's wild shit, man. And it comes on the heels of, and a lot of people are pissed off about Riley because of the fucking Notre Dame stuff. You should, if you do have Twitter, go on to Twitter, and it's a 6-minute one, so I'm not going to bring it up here. Brady Quinn talking about that with guys, and if you want to say, well, that's bias or whatever, the information wasn't biased. It was information that a lot of people knew, and it's been confirmed by people that aren't Notre Dame people. Go watch the Brady Quinn interview that he did with, I want to say it was, what's his name that used to play at Penn State, LeVar Arrington and whoever he's with. Anyway, it's on Twitter. Go check that out. You should, because that pretty illuminating. The other one that would be illuminating to me, Keyshawn Johnson. What's the other guy's name? Another former player there that played for Pete. He's got a Greek name. I forget his name. But anyway, he's a big radio guy there in LA. They're killing Lincoln right now because it was weak-ass shit for them to not continue the series. And him trying to put it off again on Notre Dame at the Valero Alamo Bowl, the early press conference that he did was comical. It's fucking comical, bro. Completely. Let's see. Georgia, Bama in the Natty with the Dogs winning. Johnny boy, I wouldn't be surprised at that at all. I would not. In fact, I don't know that it wouldn't surprise me, though. It also wouldn't surprise me because if they run the ball well, I think that Oregon could be one of the better teams left. Maybe they beat Alabama. It would depend on. I think that'd be I think that's going to shape up to be a really fun quarterback battle in the next round after Tech gets beat. And Indiana, by the way. Yeah. Georgia by double digits. We had the football down a tutty in the fourth quarter versus Tech, and we weren't Diddy. See, I agree. Thank you, Neilio. Been saying it. I mean, they lost. They lost that game to Houston. You know, Houston beat LSU. I'm not saying that Houston's bad. I like Willie Fritz as a coach, but I'm just telling you, I don't think that much of Baron Morton. To be honest with you, I think that's their biggest problem. I think Georgia wins it all too. What else we got? Oh yeah, Lindo White fucking hates Lincoln. That series of tweets that he did last year, I made a video about it. He was at Lincoln's neck. But Keyshawn's on his ass too. Petros, yes, that's the dude. My guy. Great stuff, right? That another really good listen. Go in there and check it out. They were killing him. Just nuking him. Nah, Kyle, you're high. Not happening. Not happening. But, we'll see. Hammond's better than I don't think there's a doubt. I saw him play at Hutto. He was good. I saw him play at Hutto his senior year. Well, when it was after he had went to Elite 11 before his senior year. Yeah, he's a stud, man. He is a stud. I'm surprised that nobody went and got him after that Elite 11. Dude. I'm surprised they didn't pry him away. They must have kicked some cash to him. He's not getting fired this year. Not now. He's got it. He just had the number one class. But I mean, really, that's the first. And so I'd like to go. I'm going to go back and look. Makes me want to do another video about that stuff and kind of go back and look at where it is. And really, honestly, this is one of the videos I've been wanting to do anyway. When you look at, he took the best parts of Oklahoma with him, or they left at the time that he took the job at SC. He was attempting to torch the place on the way out. They've said everybody knows that. 42, 43 guys that left either in the draft portal, whatever. Heisman Trophy quarterback goes with him. And here we are 4 years later. Oklahoma in the SEC has gone to the playoff with a 10-2 year against probably the toughest. I mean, he would melt into a puddle on the fucking floor if he had to face a fucking schedule like that. It's a bad look for Lincoln. And then you lose after going 9-3. Then you lose to TCU, who wasn't the best team in the Big 12. They were good. They were decent. But their quarterback wasn't even there. And however good they were, it had a hell of a lot to do with Hoover. And you can't beat that guy. Come on, man. And it's more and more excuses all the time. It's just, yeah. Look, man, in the end, this is USC. You know what? They did the same shit with Lane Kiffin when he was at Tennessee. It backfired on him with Lane. It's backfired on him with Lincoln as well. Plain and simple, end of story. Yeah. You put it on a slip. Might be the muscle relaxers. I said you were high. That was exactly what I said. Hey, I was right. I'm always right. I love it. That's some funny shit. He needs to be on McDonald's salary with the McDonald's looking ass team. Yeah, they're screwed, bro. Look, here's the thing. They actually, I mean, they've got talent there, and that's the other thing. You don't really have that. What's left? They've given him everything he wants. He bitches, and every year it's always something new. Last year he was bitching about the fucking schedule and the traveling and stuff like that. You know for sure that they didn't tell him about the Big Ten move before he left because he wasn't looking for that. And now he's bitching about it nonstop. But it's always something. It's always something. So, yeah, it's early, man. Pretty early in that game. All right. I got to get second quarter, though. No, it's actually almost halftime. Vandy, look, man, we've seen Diego do his thing after the half. I've got to have a quick meeting with Really Flawed, so I got to get out of here, folks. I appreciate everybody coming in. Hope we got some of your questions answered. I wanted to bring on Chris Mason for that because you guys know I'm not the biggest. I hear a lot of things about portal stuff, from people that I know. Chris Mason's got his nose in this all day, and he's making phone calls and stuff like that. I'm never going to be that guy with recruiting, never. But I do like to talk about it a little bit whenever it's these times of the year, and I know you guys got questions about it, and I got questions about it. I would really hope that whatever happens in the quarterback room, I really hope that, as much as I think it'd be cool to get Cam, it'd be cooler to get one of these quarterbacks because there's a bunch of them out there. I wasn't going to say that with him on here, but that's the way I feel, and you guys know that. Hey, guys, it's going to be – it's New Year's time. Make sure that you make it to 2026. If you're going to go out and have a good time, make sure you get somebody to drive for you, whatever it is. I want to make sure that we get all of our people to 2026. So please do that for me. Enjoy. Am I coming back on tonight? I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see if something pops up, possibly. But we'll see kind of what happens. I will get a hold of you guys. You'll know if you're a subscriber, and we are now 100 away. We were at 4,900 this morning subscribers. So we're now about 100 away from our goal of 5,000. It would be super cool if we got there. I think anyway. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, yeah. Hey, whatever it is, I hope if I don't see you till tomorrow, have a very happy New Year, New Year's Eve. Enjoy your night. Be safe. I want to make sure I see you all on the other side. Oh, not quite. We're still at 4,870-ish. So, yeah. Hey, share us around. It'd be great, if we somehow hit 130 overnight. That'd be cool. Official designated driver. Love it. Staying at home. Cool. I probably will too. But anyway, just be safe, everybody. Enjoy your time with your family. Enjoy your time with your friends if you're going out. Just be safe. Love you guys. Happy New Year. We will see you all on the next one.